Hi, I often say that indies are on the forefront of video game innovation and that they keep all genres alive. So today I'd like to quickly show you 10 great games that are currently on sale on Steam and GOG and definitely worth a look. We've spoken about first La-Mulana in our Forgotten Treasure series a couple months back, and La-Mulana 2 is an excellent sequel to that first title. It's also an action-adventure platformer made in Metroidvania style and, dare I say it, a better game than the original. This time you play as Lumisa Kosugi, a daughter of the protagonist of the first game, and you explore the ancient ruins of a new and exciting location, Eglana. In La-Mulana 2, a huge dungeon awaits you, and it's chock full of deadly enemies, even deadlier gigantic bosses, and so many mysterious and waiting to be solved riddles that going through it all can take even upwards of 30 hours, 3 pizzas and a 6-pack of beer. Or soda, a 6-pack of soda. Over 60 unique items, 7 weapons and more than 200 different enemies, coupled with non-linear dungeon, makes La-Mulana 2 a very replayable title. So if you're into classic feeling platformers, it's definitely one to pick up, and especially that it's only $9.99 or your local equivalent until June 4th. Another of those sub $10 hidden gems on Steam that I think is worth a look is Arranger, a role-puzzling adventure. And with over 92% positive reviews and a free demo, Arranger may be something you'd like to check out, even if neither of its building blocks alone is within your puddle of interests. And let me tell you, that puzzling right there in the title is not just a cheap gimmick, but the base for the entire exploration, progression and combat mechanic. The world of Arranger is built on the interconnected grid, and playing as Gemma, a small-town misfit on a journey of self-discovery, you will embark on a puzzling adventure unlike any other. Whenever you move horizontally or vertically, the entire row or column moves along with you, and both you and all the items and objects can loop around the edge of the grid, providing for some very fun and enjoyable puzzling opportunities. There is no XP and inventory of any kind in Arranger, so if you like experiences like no other, definitely look it up. In the very locally famous words of my younger sister, Spire is the best. And while I know that you don't know her, you know me. And it also currently boasts 97% overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam, so you know, there's bound to be some truth to it. Like 97% truth. Anyway, I'm not sure if it's the best, but it's definitely out there with all the best card-based roguelikes. On your quest to slay the titular Spire, you'll craft your own unique deck from over 350 different cards, you'll find and use over 200 items, battle countless one-of-a-kind bizarre monsters big and small with one of 4 available heroes, and you'll partake in mysterious events set on always randomly generated adventure map. Slay the Spire is one of those games that you can just jump into and start playing and have a lot of fun without giving the rules a minute thought. But mastering it and learning all the tips and tricks of a perfect deck crafting, now that will take serious series of unavoidable but also infinitely replayable fails. One of the most interesting deals of the last couple of weeks is definitely Songs of Conquest on GOG, and if you've never heard of it, then boy oh boy, are you gonna be happy that you've stumbled upon this video. It's a fantasy turn-based strategy inspired by the classics from the mid to late 90s, Heroes of Might and Magic 2 and 3 being particularly important titles among these inspirations. The world is there for the taking, so leading one of the few powerful mages known as wielders, you'll be the one to do it. Seek and capture powerful artifacts, build and expand cities, raise armies and conquer the enemies stupid enough to stand in your way. If none of that convinced you, however, just look at it. It's a grand feast of colorful and as square as we love them to be pixels that look mouth-wateringly 90s and plays so too. 4 factions, 4 campaigns, map editor and even hot seat multiplayer, if that's not enough to sway you to check it out, maybe the price will, because at $11.89 Songs of Conquest is a steal. Now, if you'll be into gang beasts or not is entirely dependent on whether you have someone to play games with. And even more so because it's one of those super silly party games that subscribe to the more the merrier mindset. So alone it's totally unplayable, and you can trust me on that. In 2-player mode it's fun, it's a hoot when there's 3 or 4 of you, but when you manage to get up to 8 players and controllers in one room, now that is a riot. And given what Gang Beast is, a literal one at that. Gang Beast is set in a beef city and puts each and every one of you in a gelatinous bodies of clay-like characters who have to battle each other in slapstick combat on arenas full of environmental hazards and dangers. It may not be the game to play every day, but if you have a few willing friends with you and drinks are involved, then you'll be hard-pressed to find something more fun. If you're a fan of classic Fallouts, particularly the first two entries, you're gonna love Underrail. It too is a deep, old-school feeling, isometric turn-based role-playing set deep underground after the apocalyptic event that turned the surface of the planet uninhabitable. Underrail mixes intricate and involving storytelling of violent faction struggle with tactical turn-based combat and encompasses it all with postmodern mysteries just waiting to be discovered. If you enjoyed the freedom that Fallouts gave you in crafting and forging of your own character and its future, long and branching dialogues, meaningful choices and their consequences, you'll love Underrail too. It has to be mentioned, however, that unlike the more famous classic, Underrail is known for its difficult and unforgiving combat and high barrier of entry. If that doesn't scare you though, then you're not gonna find a much better game for under $5. It's very easy to call what remains of Edith Finch a walking simulator as some did when it originally released, but I feel that it's a bit unfair and undersells this rather unique game. I'd call it an exploration-based environmental narrative that involves you in a life of Edith, the last surviving member of the Finch family, as she's trying to figure out why she's the only one that's still here. The gameplay is told through unique and interactive sequences, showing final moments of each of the Finches. It's a deeply involving and one-of-a-kind game that is a perfect match for any and all gamers that enjoy titles that leave them thinking and pondering the meaning of life and all its avenues long after they've completed it. The game, not the life, hopefully they're still here and enjoying it all. Gaming too. So, with Steam rating sitting between 94 and 95% ever since its release 8 years ago, what remains of Edith Finch remains as relevant today as it was in 2017. And at just under $5, it's a no-brainer.
I don't believe in ghosts, but something always...
There isn't a lot of time left, but both Atom RPG and its standalone and equally as good follow-up Trudogard are both now at a very deep discount on GOG and can be picked up for just $2.99 and $2.19 respectively. And since it's not very often that you get to grab two amazing games for a price of mediocre coffee, then if you like RPGs, sci-fi or post-apocalyptic themes at all, you should really not waste any more time listening to me talking and just go and get it. I mean, don't abandon me here with two games still left to cover and pause and come back, but definitely do it. Both of these gems are set in post-nuclear inferno Soviet Russia and as such present a dramatically different vision to that found in Fallout. Compelling and deep storytelling, branching dialogues and meaningful choices are a thing here too, so if you'll get these two, you'll be set for a good couple weeks of gaming. Other than the Arranger, Isles of Sea and Sky is probably the most out there conceptual game in today's video. You awake alone on an unfamiliar island with no memories of how you got there or how to leave. Which royally sucks, as it means that you're late for that hot date you were waiting for all week. So you're gonna have to figure it all out all by yourself. Isles of Sea and Sky is a non-linear, the world is your adventure kind of a game where the puzzles are spread all around the entirely open world and you get to pick which and when to solve. Or you can even abandon those that you get stuck at to come back to them later with a new perspective and experiences gained while solving other riddles. Most of the puzzles introduce something new and unexpected, so even if you've beaten a dozen or two of them, each next will still feel fresh and exciting. Isles of Sea and Sky is kinda like those classic 16-bit Zelda games as puzzles, only much better and not repeatable. And at $7.99 it's never been cheaper. My boss's wife uses the term white lie often, basically whenever she intends to lie, and she feels that it explains her behavior and as if nothing had ever happened. Now, would the video title be a white lie, or just a lie, if I told you that the last game is not an indie at all but a bit older amazing game at even more amazing price? Let me know in the comments below. In the meantime though, Grim Dawn is what would have happened if Diablo 2 had a wicked threesome with Van Helsing and Arcanum. So it's a fantasy vampire/steampunk themed action role-playing that is way better than most games in the genre that came out between Diablo 2 and Path of Exile 2. Arm yourself to the teeth, seek gear, learn skills, pick between different classes, complete quests, uncover the dark and troubling story by going on this epic adventure, defeat monsters big and small, and basically have the time of your ARPG life. If you think that I'm exaggerating, I'm not, and at only $3.74 you can put my word to the test. I know that many of you don't like when I dabble in anything else than oldies, but many of these indie games are so deeply rooted in the classics that they have that very distinctive retro stank, you know, the moldy plastic one, despite being brand new. And while many of them don't sport pixel presentation or chiptune soundtracks, I'm only highlighting the greats at even better prices. So let me know what you thought of the video. Did you bought any of these? And if you know of any other amazing titles at deep discounts today. If you liked the video, I would be forever grateful if you'd be so kind and hit those like and sub buttons below. Smashing the bell also lets YouTube know to always send you a notification when I release something new, and while all this may seem irrelevant, they actually make a huge difference for channels as small as mine. So take care of yourself, and I'll talk to you soon.